Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's not Friday. It's not Friday night. It's Tuesday morning. This is a bit of a special episode of the show. Originally, we were going to do this a few weeks ago, but our schedules, me and my guest schedule, didn't quite correlate together. But I did want to do this episode with this particular guest. I thought it would be a good guest for the show, and he's one of my favorite guests I've ever had. So my guest this morning is
Hello. Should I actually tell myself who I am? Yes, I should. My name is MBS. I am from Shootin da Breeze podcast, which runs on 11 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time on a Saturday. But yes, this should have been a long time coming, a couple of weeks back, but due to my side, all of it on my side, clashing of scheduling conflicts and whatnot, it has been dragged on up until this week. It has been like close to a month.
yeah, I think so because I've done both Judgment Day and Bad Blood in that time as well.
Yep. It almost stretched up to a month, and even my my partner in crime and host Taker's Minion, he actually just said, "You better do something about you better do this real seriously with Metal Man because he's getting pissed. I know he's getting pissed. Yeah, I know.
I mean, I was never pissed. I completely understood.
Yeah, but yeah, I know he says it in jest, but yeah,
Yeah,
because we decided we wanted to do this kind of show, but yeah, scheduling conflicts and whatnot, all totally on my 100% on my end. So yeah, at least we're here now. We're here now, and thankfully the schedules now hasn't been conflicted. So yeah, at least we're doing it today. So anyhow, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say that I really wanted MDS for this particular episode. I thought he would be a good guest for this particular show, and he's one of my favorite guests I've ever had on the show. So I really wanted him on the show, really, really badly. So I was going to have him on the show, no matter what.
No matter what, I feel flattered on that one. But in any case, how are you today? How are you this week? We're still.
I'm pretty good.
Oh wow, I'm doing good. I'm tired, but no complaints on my
Same
end.
here a little bit.
Yeah, complaints on my end, but mostly because I've been on a two-day training, so vacation training, which made me sit down on a desk and listen to seminars from 8 in the morning to 6 in the evening. So,
I don't know if I could handle that.
At least it has breaks. And surprisingly, it has a couple of breaks in between. I like that kind of thing. You just sit down for about 2 hours or so. Yes, we're gonna take a break. Yeah, go out for about 45 minutes to have something to eat, drink, come back in again. Whoever did. Pretty cool. But anyway, I digress. What are we gonna talk about today? What's on the cards?
Well, today we are going to be talking about Backlash 2003.
Good. At least it's not good. It's not going to be something that is going to be highly contested, highly criticized, like your last review of Judgment Day.
Yeah, because Taker's Minion hated Judgment Day 2003 with a passion.
He rained on it like hell. I just listened. I've just listened to the episode with him and you on, probably on Monday. My my God, did Taker pull out a number? I mean, sure he has his opinions and he has his feelings about matches and wrestling matches of a certain quality. But yeah, it's his opinion. And even though some of the listeners might want to disparage or dispute about it, it's a side of opinion that sometimes you have to take it to notice. If it sucks, it sucks. You have to find out why it sucks. But hey, at least Backlash won't have that kind of. I hope that it doesn't really bring out that kind of thing. Because to be honest, I sort of kind of enjoyed it, especially the main event. Yeah, because
Yeah,
now,
I don't think it will. Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you the stats about it. It was a wrestling event, of course, produced by WWE. It took place on Sunday, April the 27th, 2003, in front of 1,000 fans at the Worcester Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts. This has been the fifth annual Backlash by the company, first under the WWE name, of course, because before that, the other four were under the WWF. Right? So, ticket sales were good because they sold out. They grossed $450,000. So, and they had a 6.67 buy rate, which is okay. You sold out, which is great in a sense. Of course, the biggest. I'd run down the card. Do you want to run down the card about it, or what? Or do you want me to do it?
You're the guest. Since you're the guest here, you can go ahead and do it.
I don't want to impede on my charitable guest host appearance. If somehow there's gonna be MDS show.
No, that's fine, man. That's
Okay,
fine.
okay. I'll run down the card for you. One of the there are 9 matches in official terms, with one of them in actuality, the match was broadcast prior to pay per view on Sunday Night Heat. That would be Scott Steiner versus Rico, and then you have the 8 other matches that won in the pay per view main card, which are the Team Angle versus Los Guerreros for the WWE Tag Team Championship. Then you have Sean O'Haire with Roddy Piper versus Rikishi in a singles match. You got Kane and Rob Van Dam against the Dudley Boys for tag team match for the World Tag Team Championship, with Chief Morley as a special guest referee. More on that later. And then you have Jazz with Theodore Long versus Trish Stratus for the WWE Women's Championship. You have Big Show versus Rey Mysterio in a singles match. You got Brock Lesnar versus John Cena in a singles match for the WWE Championship. You got Triple H, Ric Flair, and Chris Jericho versus Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels, and Booker T in a 6-man tag. And of course, the biggest news, the biggest storyline for Backlash 2003 was between the main event card, which is Goldberg versus The Rock. This was between Goldberg making his WWE pay-per-view debut against The Rock, who, if you have watched it, spoiler. If you haven't watched it, a little bit of spoiler alert, because after this show, The Rock actually took a long break from WWE to basically get into Hollywood more. So those are the cards.
Yeah, and it seems like a pretty solid card.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like it on paper.
Yeah, so we can go ahead and talk about the set design and the theme song, because that's something I really enjoy doing. So, how'd you feel about the set design for the show?
Set design, I think it was great. It was eye catching, the whole thing. There are some snafus and there are some small issues, like especially in the main event, of course, because they messed it up. They messed it up in a small time. Some of the people say that they're gonna do. That's either intentional or not. I just say that it's not really intentional. Maybe Goldberg just got his timing wrong or something like that, which made it look like a shittier entrance. But overall, I think I like the design. There's no complaints about it. For its time, the design was good. I won't say it's great. I won't say it's eye-catching, but it's good.
Yeah, I mean, it's a set that I've always enjoyed. They don't have the swinging hooks from the previous year.
Oh, no.
Which I feel like they finally realized, like, okay, one day someone's going to get hurt doing this.
I mean, I know your pay-per-view name is Backlash, but you didn't really have to literally swing blades in a Backlash formation just to emphasize the point. No, you don't. At least the blades that were curved inwards were, in a way, static. It didn't move. If it did
Yeah.
move, then well, poor choice design. But still, yeah.
But yeah, I thought this was a really good set. I think it's a lot better than what we see in the future. It's better than Judgment Day or Bad Blood. So
Oh, definitely, definitely. I mean, the design was good. The graphics to denote the next matches that were coming up and whatnot were good. We're good. Okay. We're good for its time as well as for the theme because they're really hyping up the curved A with the backlash design, of course. But
yeah,
they
I
were,
love the match graphics for the show and they're just
yeah,
graphics in general.
yeah. I mean, no comment on that because they had. I think I would say that I believe that they had to do with what they are given and they maximized that to the fullest of their abilities and they actually pulled off a really good job. No complaints on me on those parts. The theme song for it, if my notes serve me well, is Remedy by Cole. Yeah.
Yes, Remedy by Cold, and I'll just say this right now. So far on the podcast, maybe my favorite pay-per-view theme song. I love this song.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's an introductory song.
Yeah.
It's a great song to listen. It's a great song to get you amped up for the whole pay per view. It's a thematic. I think it's a thematic song based on the storyline that the each of the match cards have. So
Yeah, I think it fits really well, and the album that it comes off of, Year of the Spider, is a great album as well. I highly recommend that. But yeah, Remedy by Cold, it just fits so well here.
mhm. But in any case, if it's again, no complaints on my end on it. I think it's just a song that they picked and then it fits with the whole Backlash theme and the storyline that they had, and it fits. So again, no comments on my end. No compliments either because I think it was okay. I think it was good. It's just it's a catchy song that you listen to once or twice and then just for the theme of it all, just for the theme of the backlash of it all, and it just okay. It was a nice song. It's a nice song to get me amped up for the next match or for the next card. We're probably just looking forward to what's going to happen in the during the show proceeds. So nothing on my end there. Most of our comments mostly are going to be reserved for matches, anything that happens backstage and whatnot. So.
Yeah. And speaking of matches, we get our first match of the night. Team Angle versus Los Guerreros for the tag team titles.
Okay. Kurt went for neck surgery after losing the belt to Lesnar at WrestleMania. So, Team Angle comes up bringing a portrait of Angle with his gold medals attached.
Which is great.
I mean, sure. The imagery, we respect both Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin looking miles better than what they are now, even though Shelton Benjamin still looks great for his age now. These guys are just getting started. These guys are just in the prime of thing and in the thick of things as well. So, you expect the whole match to be a lot of grappling and a lot of technical openers and whatnot. Yes, you are facing that because you had Charlie Haas and Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, and Shelton Benjamin as well. So yes.
Yeah, Eddie and Charlie Haas start off with some mat wrestling, and Team Angle does take control of the match over Eddie. Michonne gets choked by the Guerreros with the tag rope.
Yeah, I mean it's a different feel of it all.
Yeah, and the finish of the match comes when Team Angle sort of cheats to win. I believe Shelton Benjamin, like grabs the ropes or something like that at the win.
Yeah, I mean, the finish was. I think the finish doesn't really affect the whole match. I mean, pretty solid opener. Nothing spectacular. Nothing spectacular about the whole match because you expect everything that you expect. These two guys are technical. That means you're going to see a technical wrestling. You're going to see a lot of you're going to see a lot of technical holds. You don't really see a lot of high risk spots. If you want to count Shelton running in with a big power bomb, Chavo hitting a pop up drop kick, and Frog Splash, of course, is going to come out as well. So yeah. Again, nothing spectacular in my opinion. Anyway, there's nothing spectacular of it. It is solid work, solid work from all four wrestlers overall. They are skilled. The match was smooth. It was a pretty solid opener. So yeah.
Yeah, I think the finish works here. The
Uh-huh.
match was pretty good. Not too much really to complain about here. I thought it was pretty good for what was a really good opener. But I think we need to talk about what happens after the match because the Guerreros
Well, yeah,
end up stealing the titles after the match. They end up riding off in their lowrider while Team Angle watches on the Titantron.
yeah. I mean, they are living. They are really living up the gimmick of the lie and cheat and steal gimmick on pay-per-view. I'm cool with it. I like it. I mean, that's mostly for Eddie Guerrero shtick, but with Los Guerreros, yeah, it just plays perfectly to their character. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I don't usually like belt stealing angles, but I'm cool with it because remember that this is the yeah, it works. And you remember that this is the first time the Guerreros got a chance to show it. So I'm cool with it. I like it. I even liked it. I mean, yeah, but yeah, I agree on it. The finish was just as expected. Team Angle retaining. They tried to celebrate it, got blindsided. uh, when to top it all off, they actually uh, they attacked Team Angle, which knocked the portrait down when they were celebrating the portrait of Angle, and just leave it at that. With both tag teams actually sold their gimmicks well, even up until the end of the match. So yeah, that's good. Do you have a rating on this, or do you want to go on the overall match to give it the overall card to give a rating on this one? Got it.
Yeah, I would probably give this match maybe probably 3 stars out of 5. Like, it wasn't the greatest match in the world. I feel like maybe they could have done a bit better, but I think for what it was and for the crowd, for the opener, I thought it was pretty good for what it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually put my notes in and give it a 3 out of 5 too. Yeah. So,
Yeah, and this is unfortunately the last time we'll see Chavo Guerrero for a while because shortly after this match, he ends up tearing his biceps, and so he's going to be out until around September or so. But we don't see him again until Survivor Series.
and yeah, but yeah, that's the first match. Want to talk about the backstage segment, or we're just going to move on with Sean O'Haire with Roddy Piper versus Rookie?
We can take a look at the backstage segments.
Because this is mostly, if you guys remember, this is mostly still in the timeline in the time where there's still a lot of sexual connotation, a lot of sexual suggested plots boiling down into storylines. And yeah, we have Test and Tori. Tori coming in, telling Test to stop calling her and leaving a message. Test is not having it and just says that I got a lot more to offer, and he likes Tori and he wants Tori after having seen her pictures in Playboy. So yeah.
Yeah, like this is really like an advancement of a storyline that's been going on
Yeah.
Raw for a bit. Tess really in the middle of a bit of a slow heel turn. I would say he's probably definitely a heel here. He and Stacy Keeper have been on the rocks a little bit after a Girls Gone Wild appearance for Test, as well as Tess looking at pictures of Playboy behind Stacy's back.
Yeah. And let's not forget this is actually the advancement for Tori and Sable's rivalry in a sense. I think
Yeah, because
feud
Sable
rivalry.
witnesses it all.
I think this was the time when Sable was jealous of Tori Wilson's appearing on Playboy. I think.
Yeah, it was because Sable at this point in time had just came back, and she like for a long time, like she was on very bad terms with the league. Sued them for sexual harassment, left the company. Not only that, but she was not very well liked backstage.
Mhm.
So it's kind of amazing she was brought back.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It is. It is what it is. I think I'm gonna have to say about the backstage time. It actually pushed the storyline narrative. I think it's a little bit tasteless, but hey, it is what it is during that time at 2000 in 2000. So yeah,
Yeah, and so now we move on to the next match: Sean O'Haire versus Rikishi.
yeah. Oh, Sean O'Haire. Oh, Sean O'Haire. What could have been?
Yeah, totally. Like this is gonna be one of the few times we see Sean O'Haire.
One of the
Um,
few times. This is uh the son of O'Haire, the legendary O'Haire. I think. Oh God. I mean, at least I'll give one positive of it because Sean O'Hare looked fairly good. I think uh, he looks fairly good. Uh, he has the look. He has the upper body strength, surprisingly, because he actually deadlifted with Kishi with relative ease. Well, not deadlift, but he actually lifted him up off his feet. Very
mhm.
impressive strength. But that was my comment. The only and one of the only comments that I have is that I don't feel that with the addition of Piper beside Sean O'Hare added anything.
Yeah, like there's a lot to take in with this storyline
Because
because
I was watching it and it was okay, why is Roddy Piper following you? I mean, I know why he's there, but why is the what's the best word that I'm looking for? What's the role of Roddy Piper back sitting at ringside if just to get Rikishi to get riled up and chase after him? That's it. Does that happen in?
well,
Go ahead.
I was just go on.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that Rowdy Roddy Piper ends up coming back at WrestleMania, and now he's going to be back with company for a few months, and that means Piper's Pit's come back as well. And I believe on the first or second episode of Piper's Pit back, Rikishi actually does come down to the ring with a coconut and says that 20 years ago you embarrassed my family, you smashed a coconut over my uncle Jimmy Snuka's head. I haven't forgotten about that. And before
Uh,
that and before Rikishi can get his revenge, Sean O'Haire comes down to the ring, attacks Rikishi, and Sean O'Haire more or less becomes Piper's new protege.
yeah, that was the story about it. And considering that, yeah, because like you said, Piper actually came out with a handbasket of coconuts. Nice current reference too, because he's referencing his Piper's attack on Jimmy Snuka. If I am correct,
Yeah.
because but here's the funny bit of that as well, though. Even though the commentators, the storyline of it say that Rikishi is related to Jimmy Snuka. Don't if you do your I think I may be wrong, but from what I've gleaned out, Rikishi, if I understand correctly, Rikishi is Samoan.
Yeah.
Jimmy Snuka is from Fiji. That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Where's the correlation of it that Rikishi is related to Jimmy Snuka? But hey, I may be wrong. At that time, even at the point where when I was rewatching the whole thing, I was like, isn't Rikishi Samoa and Snuka. I don't think they're related at all. Why are they pushing the narrative that Rikishi is trying to defend the honor of Jimmy Snuka, which is which is admirable, not adorable, admirable. But other than the fact that I feel a sort of kinship family, which I think it's wrong. I think it's wrong. I think it's incorrect. Yeah. It's iffy ground to stand on, but okay, go on.
Yeah, it's Nuka even makes an appearance on SmackDown, I believe, just a few days before the show.
Mhm.
And he ends up getting attacked by Piper and no hair.
Yeah, because there's not, but overall, I think there's nothing special in terms of a match. Uh, Even with Piper's interference, I don't think Piper adds anything aside from uh, providing the coconut, which which in turn tried to be used on Rikishi, but Rikishi used it on Roddy Piper or Piper. But then, yeah,
And
like
he
I
gets,
said, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say he gets blooded out by the coconut shot too.
Mm, he uh, he gets cut open by the coconut shot. But yeah, afterwards, it led to the sequence where O'Hare actually lifts up Rikishi and hits him with the reverse thrown Death Valley Driver. I think it was a reverse Death Valley Driver, if I
Yeah.
am correct. Yeah. Which he calls the Widowmaker. It was an impressive feat of strength. Sean O'Hare looked very good. Again, like I said, what could have been with Sean O'Hare if he was properly guided and properly booked at that time, which we won't know now, considering that he's passed away. He's another one of them that passed away at a relatively young age, I think. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, O'Hare as Piper's protege is a weird choice. I can see why they thought it would be a good idea. I don't think it quite clicks here. There's something about this whole team up that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, I agree because earlier on I said that. Early on I said that Roddy Piper and being there at ringside doesn't really add anything, even though they wanted to push the narrative and the storyline forward. Uh, you don't really have to use Roddy Piper as the magnet for pushing your storyline for Rikishi and Sean O'Hare. To me, I think Sean O'Hare can just go out and carry the handbasket of coconuts by himself. In a sense that, yeah, we're gonna rub this in the face just to besmirch you in a sense in the storylines. So yeah, but yeah, basically nothing special. It's an average match. Nothing memorable aside from the whole finish by Sean O'Hare by lifting Rikishi up into a Death Valley Driver, which is totally impressive. If you gave me a grading, I'd say I'd give it a 1.5 or maybe 2.
Yeah, I would give it a 2 as well. The match was really nothing special. It really could have just been on SmackDown rather than a pay-per-view like Backlash. But overall, I thought it was a solid match. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yep, I thought it would. I thought it would be better. I think. I thought it would be just a paint by the numbers average match, which I could say I could consider giving a 2 or 2.5, just par by the course. But there's nothing memorable. It's not that it's a bad match or it's a terrible match. It's just that I gave that rating because there's nothing that I can glean out much about it. I can compliment much about it.
Yeah. So backstage, Sable snitches to Stacy about Tori and Test.
Ugh. I think the narrative of Sable and Tori pushing the storyline of Sable and Tori are being prominently pushed on Backlash. I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think this took up majority of the backstage segments. I think.
Yeah, pretty much.
because afterwards you don't get most of the ones that are promoting the pay-per-view match itself. It's mostly Sable has issues with Tori. Sable does this Sable does this to get some heat on Tori. Tori does reacts like this due to the fact that Sable is playing her. There's not much concentration to other matches, which again we come to the RVD and Kane backstage segments, just promoting, which leads up to the World Tag Team Title match between champions RVD and Kane, Rob Van Dam and Kane versus the Dudley Boys, with Chief Morley as your special guest referee.
Yep, Chief Morley appointed himself the special referee earlier on Sunday Night Heat, and there's a lot to take in with this storyline as well, because the W Boys here are a bit of reluctant heels as they've been suspended indefinitely by Eric Bischoff, and they really have no other choice but to join the Eric Bischoff Chief Morley administration.
Yes. Because and to add of it, we are while we are watching, you're going to be told that there is a little bit of dissension between the Dudleys because Devon really doesn't feel right by aligning themselves with Bischoff, but Bubba Ray is actually doing it to keep their jobs, because that's the conundrum that they're having. One of them, they're feeling reluctant. They're feeling bad about actually just being Eric Bischoff's lackeys, especially with the history of Bubba Ray Dudley and Devon with Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, and like Devon is very, very against it. Like, he is not a fan of this at all. Like, Bubba Ray
not
isn't
comfortable
either.
At all. He's not comfortable at all.
Yeah, like Bubba Ray Dudley, at least it's obvious that he doesn't want to do this, but he's like, you know what? If I have to do it,
he has to. I have to do it to keep my job. I think that's the general connotation that he wants to portray. He's the reluctant one, while his partner is the one who's vehemently disagreeing on it. No, we can't do this. We can't do this, even if we lose our jobs. The one who's morally correct on that one was Devon, while Bubba's just doing it for their survival. But with that, I'll say that I think it was a pretty good tag team match. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was as well. We get some back and forth action, and Chief Morley mainly plays it straight for the most part. Mainly calls it down the middle. Then all of a sudden,
surprisingly,
yeah, surprisingly for the most part, but then a low blow to Kane by Morley.
Yeah. Is there any other moment where Kane doesn't really get low blowed? On a pay-per-view match.
Trying to think.
At a pay-per-view match. Because I think for the most of it.
2000.
Oh, okay. Because I remember, I kind of before that lead, and I kind of remember that Kane had a sucky pay-per-view record of not getting hit in the balls. But yeah, you have SummerSlam.
He gets
not getting hit. Yeah, Morley is not Nakamura. Nakamura, Morley is not. He's just gonna get down on his knees and just. But hey, the Dudleys and Kane actually busted out some stuff outside their usual fare, because you'd expect Kane is going to do the big man job and the Dudleys are going to do their usual tag team shtick. But no, there's some new things that there are some new things that the Dudleys did with Kane with Kane in tow as well. And of course, Rob Van Dam is gonna do Rob Van Dam things, the usual fare, of course. And this was at the peak point where Rob Van Dam is exciting and really is a crowd puller, basically, with his unique set of skills in the ring. So.
Yeah, I like this tag team of Kane and Rob Van Dam for the most part. So the finish of the match comes when Maury accidentally hits Bubba Ray and Devon. Accidentally hits Bubba Ray, and Devon ends up attacking Morley. Lance Storm interferes. Bubba Bomb on Storm. The Dudley Boys get a 3D on Morley. Kane chokeslams Bubba Ray Dudley, and RVD hits 5-star frog splash for the win.
Yep. It's a good sequence, I think. I think I think if you notice, there are some occasional sloppiness and miscommunication. So yeah. If you notice a little bit, but I think it was it was covered up pretty well and was picked up back again, pretty in an adequate and decent way. That some of them might get glossed over. Only to the some that are rewatching it and going it for the reviews, and yeah, there are a little bit sloppy because there are, again, you are dealing with Chief Morley, and at this point, a little bit at this point, it was still trying to push the down the narratives with the reluctant Dudley Boys facing off against the champions, and yeah, result RVD and Kane retaining their titles for now for the whole thing. Yeah, my rating for it would be a 3 out of 5. So
yeah. I would give it a 3 as well. It was a really solid match. Got a bit chaotic towards the end. I mean, it was a solid match for what it was. I would say probably one of Kane RVD's better matches as a team, because they have not had some good matches on Raw. Like the rematch that they had with Lance Storm Chief Morley on episode of Raw. Good God, was it boring. But this was one of their better matches, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, how am I supposed to say it? Like I said earlier on, this is just painful. I don't know, because the whole thing, I got the whole dialogue. The whole dialogue goes something like this. Tori says, "Stacy, hey." Stacy replies, "Now I just heard something that I do not want to believe. You mean you know?" Thank God, Stacy, I did not know how to tell you this. What? So it's true you kissed him? No, I mean Tess kissed me, but I did not. You bitch! Wow. Who talks like that?
I know, right?
I don't think two women who was trying to gossip or just trying to chat about what is going on is talking. I mean, sure, catfight breaks out. Primarily involving Stacy trying to pull off Tori's top. That's how women fight, of course.
In WWE land, apparently.
Yep. In WWE land.
Yeah, and did you notice that there was a cat in their locker room as well?
Yes. Somehow there's a cat walking. Oh no. And then, of course, some of the other heel divas at the time. I'm sorry, Taker. I am using the term divas right now because this is the time frame for it. They're calling it them divas. So some of the heel divas are cheering them on, and faces break it up, of course. If you notice, bizarrely, Ivory who's in a towel. that's Ivory who's in a towel actually tossed that cat into the cat fight. So
yeah, because I think it's her cat.
It's her cat. Ivory coming out with nothing but a towel, tossing the cat out. It just what? Janelle. Just a bizarre thing. I mean, if you want me to go full on criticizing on the dialogue, I'd say Tori could have handled that a lot better. Also, why, after being sexually harassed by Tess, did she go back into the women's locker room and just talk about it like, no, nothing happened? I'm just dogging it that nothing happened. I mean, I know it's not real and all that. I mean, I know it's scripted, but come on.
Yeah.
The reaction of you being sexually harassed by Tess is not go back into the women's locker room and chat with another person like it's, oh, nothing happened. I'm just chatting with you nonchalantly, my fellow member of the same sex. And then why did she go out and find Stacy Keibler of all people to tell? So. But again, this is WWE I'm talking about, man. Yeah, WWE has no sense.
Yeah. And we're at least almost done with the backstage segments.
We are actually done for now.
Anyway. So at least there's some comfort in that.
Yeah. At least that's one of it. The other thing is that it leads up to the whole Trish Stratus versus Jazz coming out with Theodore Long. I think this was the period of Long's thuggin' and buggin' enterprise time. So he
Yeah,
has
it
a
was.
he's the black supremacy, like black supremacy. He's championing the rights of black people. Uh, he says that Jazz will rise above prejudice and bigotry to win the women's title, with Trish coming out hurt after being attacked by the Dudley Boys, and then get a bitch clammed onto a table. Then we have a match.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say about the storyline of the match. Trish ends up winning the title at WrestleMania. Jazz just kind of starts feud with her, so that's really all there is to it. Trish is coming into this match kayfabe injured. Trish and Spike ended up facing the Dudley Boys on Raw, and not like you said, Trish gets some kayfabe injuries here. And even on Sunday Night Heat, the W doctor at the time, says that she shouldn't compete, and Eric Bischoff basically threatens to fire him. So Trish basically has no choice but to compete in this match.
Yeah.
I mean, the doctor really should have just given Trish a Z pack. Everything would have worked out just fine.
Yeah. I mean, my viewpoint of it is that there are some decent points, like you said. There are some moments where, this looks decent. This is okay. Like how Jazz is actually, she's focusing on the injured ribs and then the injured back of Trish. Fine, you are doing that to elevate the storyline of babyface fighting through adversity and fighting through hardship. But to me, I think there's a lot of sloppiness in quite a few places, which hurt the match a lot. Uh, if you watch it with a blindfold and you watch it coming in firsthand without knowing anything, you'd say that this is not good. But to most of us who are in the know and already know the body of work that both Jazz and Trish Stratus has, this match did not showcase the best that these two are capable of. Definitely.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid match for what it was. I don't know if it was one of their better matches, but I did enjoy this match.
Yeah. How to say? There's a lot of your typical women's wrestling at that era move and whatnot. But yeah. Finish goes that how as much as I'd expected. Babyface tries to fight from adversity and fight back through her injury as well. Trish tries to go to the Stratisfaction. Jazz counters Trish with a schoolboy. With an assist by Jazz kneeling onto Trish and grabbing the rope. So Jazz.
Yeah, well, there is an interesting part of this match. Theodore Long throws his shoe at Trish Stratus.
Well,
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I may not understand the connotation of the throwing the shoe at Trish for a bit, but I do understand that. Yeah, that's kind of like, you are worthless now. Throws a shoe. Correct me if I am a little bit misguided in that one, but I think the message was, we beat you. Here's a shoe. It's again, decent. The match was decent. Quite sloppy in a few places in my eyes, anyways. In my viewing, anyways. I'd give it a 1.5. It's wrong. I think nothing too memorable about it, even though with a title change. So.
Yeah, the title change is weird. I feel like it was a bit too early to take the title off of Trish.
Is losing it in Backlash in her circumstances doesn't really help Jazz a lot, especially with the whole Theodore Long still pushing the thuggin' and buggin' enterprise gimmick at that point. So yeah, doesn't really, and it had not helped Jazz a lot after winning the women's title as well, because that literally paints a target on her back and just puts her in a rather precarious situation with WWE creative booking at that point. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was a solid match. I would actually give this 2.5 stars. Not the best match in the world. I think Trish and Jazz have had better matches, but I think for the most part, I thought this was a pretty solid match for what it was.
Yeah. Which is cool. Which is cool, and I think because sometimes there are some differences in opinion. But yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's move to the backstage segment with Booker T, Shawn Michaels, and Kevin Nash hyping themselves, trying to hype them up.
Yep, and Nash says that he wants Triple H all to himself.
Not sure this achieved anything. Not sure this pushed anything. In my eyes, anyways, you could have thrown this out. You don't really need it, and you don't really need it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it wasn't needed. You sort of know after the go home show that Nash is going to want Triple H, so it wasn't really needed, but it was what it was.
It is. It is what it is. It happened. I think it doesn't really promote the match. You only promote the wrestler, the faces that are in the match itself, and pushing. Even though it pushed the agenda that Kevin Nash really, really wants Triple H, that's just about it. What? But what about Shawn Michaels? What about Booker T? I think this is after the point where both men were practically screwed out of the World Heavyweight title by Triple H himself as well. This is the prolific Reign of Terror still. So yeah.
Yeah, they really don't have much to do in the match, and we'll talk about it when we get to it. But
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels and Booker T, Ric Flair, and Chris Jericho, they really are kind of the odd man out. Like this is really between Kevin Nash and Triple H, and it's just a 6-man tag just to kind of give everybody something to do.
I'll hold on to what I have in my mind when we reach the 6-man tag. Yeah, because we did touch on it during the prep. So we're gonna move quickly along to Big Show versus Rey Mysterio.
Speaking of things that just happened, speaking of things that happened, of a match that happened.
Another match that happens, yes. If you want the backstory, the quick one, the cliff notes for you guys is that the match came about because Ray hit a ring post 619 after a match to Big Show, which made him take a pratfall. And then Mysterio attacked Show after the match, shoving him to ring post, and Big Show fell back to the ring steps, taking another pratfall. Basically, Big Show is embarrassed because the little guy made fun of the big guy, making him fall. So he wants revenge. That's it. But
yeah,
it
this
works.
really is just a prototype to Constable Corbin and Finn Balor.
Oh, I know. I'm big, you're small. This is typical big cast Danny O'Brien stick again. Me big guy, you small guy. Me crush small guy like fly. Oh, but yeah, it works. I mean, sneak attacks on people, embarrassing them in non-match situation looks like a pretty heel thing to do. But the narrative is actually being that Rey Mysterio is actually bullying Big Show. The big guy is the one getting bullied. But we're supposed to root for the little guy because he's little. Which actually happened, yes. We are still cheering big Rey Mysterio. Even though the storyline is actually telling you that no, Rey is the one doing the bullying. This is like I'm going on the tangent here. This is like Alexa Bliss bullying Braun Strowman. Imagine that, if you will. Even though it technically kind of sort of happened with Braun Strowman suddenly becoming all bashful instead of Alexa Bliss. Think of if Alexa Bliss was bullying Braun Strowman by making him fall onto his feet or just fall on his ass again. I am embarrassed. I want to fight you. Then we have our first mixed intergender match in over 10 years, I think. But anyway, I digress. It was It was a short match. It was an okay match. Rey
Yeah,
Mysterio got his shots in, but you'd expect big man crush little man. Yes, you are getting exactly that. You're getting big man crushing little man. Again, might I remind you, Mysterio is the one doing the bullying.
yeah. I mean, this match was honestly better than I thought it was going to be. Mysterio evades Big Show. Big Show overpowers him. Mysterio hits Show with a chair behind the referee's back. So
Yep.
maybe there is something to this bullying stuff.
Yeah, it is. And I know he's up there still, but yeah, Eddie Guerrero, you're gonna have to sue for gimmick infringement on this one because Mysterio's doing your lie, cheat, and steal things again. This is again Mysterio cheating, trying. And like I said, I paraphrase yet again. Mysterio is the one doing the bullying.
So Mysterio hits 3 619s on different parts of Big Show's body, but
Yep.
Show catches Mysterio with a choke slam for the win. And after the match, Mysterio goes for a ride on the stretcher. Big Show ends up like swinging the stretcher onto the ring post in a seriously scary spot.
In the series, yeah, it does look scary, but thank goodness it looks. He's selling it off perfectly. But yeah, and again, Mysterio is the heel here. I can't get over the fact that the little guy is bullying the big guy, but it happened. It just again, the image of Alexa Bliss bullying Braun Strowman pops into my head. How the hell did that happen?
But I thought we were supposed to ship Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman together.
Yeah, we were supposed to ship it. No, now with Backlash 2003, yeah, I think I like the idea of Alexa Bliss bullying Braun Strowman better, in my head, anyways. Not in practical practices.
Yeah,
Monster
it would
men.
probably be more entertaining.
I'd be shilled to hell out of that. I'd be taken to the grinder by Taker's by Taker.
Well, you have to mention that the Saturday.
What the hell are you thinking? Alexa Bliss bullying Braun Strowman. What's me and the grinder and the chopping block all at the same time? Yeah, I digress. Like I said, it's it's an okay match. Rating, I think I'd give it a 2, just for entertainment's sake. Because again, Rey Mysterio Jr. is the heel in the match.
Honestly, I would actually give it a 3.5. Actually, I thought this match was entertaining, more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. I thought they did tell a good story with the mighty, brave Big Show overcoming that small little bully Rey Mysterio.
As you will, the littlest guy, the smallest underdog, a bully to the largest guy on the planet, the world's largest wrestler, I think, at that point in time. Oh, poor Big Show. He's the one bullied. We all thought that Big Show is the one usually doing the bullying. No. Rey Mysterio is the one doing the bullying, all because he feels embarrassed that he had a pratfall. That's it. Twice. Bullying Big Show in the workplace. Yeah.
I thought this match did tell a good David Goliath story, and
it was.
And the match really does serve as a way to just kind of build Big Show up for a main event push against Brock Lesnar. It does its job as well, and it actually does build up the stretcher match because Big Show uses the stretcher, so it does that job as well.
Yeah, but yeah. In my head, I think it's hilarious that this match happened. WWE, if you're listening, I know which I have a feeling that you are. If you're still trying to do the whole stick of small person bullying the big person, please don't make it Alexa Bliss and Nia Jax anymore. Find someone else. that is small and can bully a large person. Probably you can call back Rey Mysterio again and call back Big Show for a retirement match of sorts with Rey Mysterio the heel bully. uh, any anyway,
So
who will take that?
backstage, Ric Flair, Triple H, and Chris Jericho are all interviewed.
You know what? If you want to go, to be honest with you, if we're watching the whole backstage segment, faces and the heels for the pseudo main event, I have to say I would much rather sit in the heel team locker room. Just from the whole of it all, they seem to be having a much better time. I'd be okay. I'm just gonna sit here and just watch and enjoy and bask the moment, rather than sit at the faces locker room and feel the press with "Are you ready? Are you ready?" And then goes to Nash. "Are you ready?" "No, I just want Triple H," and walks off. God, way to be a party pooper. That's me. I take my entertainment and my joy and happiness wherever I can. If it means me sitting in a heel locker room, so be it. And yes, again, we have backstage segment between Tori Wilson again. This time with Stacy Keibler.
The fight rages on.
Slapping each other in the face. And of course,
Scott Steiner comes to the rescue.
Scott Steiner comes to the rescue, and then Test comes out looking jealous because Steiner helps Casey. And then, of course, yeah, Steiner said, "Oh, okay, I'm not having any of this." Stacy and Test just try to hash out. Yep. Pushing the jealous card again.
Yeah, continuing to build the whole Stacy Steiner Test storyline. So coming up next, wow, this match: Brock Lesnar versus John Cena for the WWE Championship.
Yeah. It's an odd world title shot because it's a. I think it's early. It's too early for him in Cena's career. In John Cena's burgeoning career.
Oh, it absolutely is. I mean, they at least did a surprisingly good job of building Cena up. Because Brock Lesnar, shortly before No Way Out, I believe, ends up shattering Cena's knee, or at least in kayfabe anyway, on the ring post, which is basically Brock Lesnar's basically a prototype Pentagon breaking someone's arm. At this point, was Brock Lesnar shattering somebody's knee on the ring post.
Yep. I mean, that's one thing. On my end, that's one thing. The other thing is that his heel rapper gimmick at this time was really gaining traction. But again, like I said, very early for him to be given a WWE title match, because this is on record, on paper, this was his second pay-per-view singles match. And and he wasn't on 2003's WrestleMania card. 2003. No, not 2003's WrestleMania. Sorry. On last month's WrestleMania. Yeah. Right. On March's WrestleMania on 2003.
It's weird because, and Cena would, every week, Cena would have some kind of rap against Lesnar, but at the time, Cena wasn't really taken seriously. He wasn't necessarily a jobber per se, but he was very low on the card. So you sort of think like, okay, Cena's going to come back and Brock's going to destroy him. And that's not necessarily what happens here. Cena does end up winning the tournament to become number one contender. Like, it's a weird match, which basically screams of, okay, Kurt Angle was injured, our top heel is gone. John Cena, come on down.
I mean, um, I'll nitpick this to hell because number one, during this time, John Cena and Brock Lesnar are both fairly green. Don't, which doesn't really help the whole flow and the whole quality of the match. The build was, to me, I feel it's quite weird because remember, John Cena at this time was his heel Doctor Thugonomics persona, and his pursuit of vengeance seems quite face, in my opinion, anyway, because he's trying to avenge what Brock did to him
Yeah.
when Lesnar F5'd him through on the ring post. Uh, it's to me sounds face, and he actually beat Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit clean to get the shot. So
Yeah,
and he also
which is just amazing to me.
yeah, which is amazing, and he also got his ass kicked for the first half of the match. Seems like WWE want me to root for John Cena at this time. At this point, anyway, but still, he's a heel. Because remember, Cena cut a rap about it with inserting the line of "This is jail, Brock. We inmates, and you just dropped the soap." So yeah,
So Cena does end up rapping before the match, assaults Brock from behind.
oh, I forgot. He actually beat Undertaker, but yeah, that was interference from the FBI. So yeah,
Yeah,
not the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It's the full-blooded Italians. Not the government.
Yeah,
Not the government department.
which probably broke Taker's minion's heart that
Oh yeah,
Undertaker lost to John Cena.
I think slightly broke his heart because yeah.
I mean, come on, that's a WrestleMania worthy match. You're just giving away on SmackDown.
And then what? Like 15 years later, we are arguing that John Cena should have a last match with the should have fought Undertaker's last match. So yeah, but I digress. Again, I feel like it's the whole build up to it. It feels quite lopsided, a little bit messy because you have this, you have a heel, you have a face, but then you're making me cheer for the heel because the whole build up to him having that kind of opportunity sounds a little bit face, but then again, in your on the other side of the coin, you remember that John Cena actually cut open Brock Lesnar with the chain and with the WWE title, so
Yeah,
full on heel. But then again, you're building him up as a
weird.
just
Yeah,
weird.
it's such a weird kind of deal. Brock honestly does not work as a face. He just does not work.
Yeah. I mean, he can be a decent, if not good, face if he's put in the place put in that kind of place proper. Because yeah, he's a big guy. He's a freak of nature. Yeah, you're gonna cheer for him. Don't really need to. You don't. One. I think, in my opinion, it is one of the ways that at that time, in the year 2003, that one way that they can build Brock was not let Brock talk at all. Just don't let him talk.
Yeah, and they were doing that quite a bit.
Make him a quasi Goldberg, if you will, in a sense. But no. And you could clearly see that the guy, even with the greenness of Brock Lesnar, you can see that the guy clearly doesn't look comfortable when you give him a mic and you make him stand on his own. He needs someone else to carry the load in terms of giving out promos, cutting promos, or engaging in conversation promo-wise, in a sense. He needs someone to bounce. He needs someone to lead while he reacts, in a sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, then again, on the positive side of things, I thought in the process, Cena's offense was pretty nice because, of course, this is before the infamous 5 moves of doom that John Cena, Super Cena, likes to do. This is where you see the range into which John Cena can actually do his move sets and his skills and performances in ring. and he does this on a regular basis. He does this on a more regular basis, on a more repetitive basis. Yeah.
Yeah, because Cena does a bunch of rest holds on Lesnar, which is pretty much a lot of Cena's moveset at this point in time.
hmm 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 I mean, like he has a back suplex, he gets the shoulder block. He actually hits knees and does a leg drop. Does DDTs. Uh, Surprisingly, he still remembers how to do a jawbreaker as well, and he does know how to do a jawbreaker at this time. Don't know how he forgets during the process of him maturing into a more company aligned main event face. He forgets the whole moveset and just sticks to the things that he knows how to do. So yeah, there are some a little bit small miscommunications. I think it's just a small mishap, like during the moment where Lesnar is lifting up Cena and tries to run Cena into the corners. Uh, Afterwards, he followed up with some slightly awkward clothesline. So yeah, that and it followed that up after a two count for a pin, and then another awkward Irish whip. There's a lot of miscommunication at that point. Oh, but at least it covers up after when Cena hits the low blow and just gets it out of the system. It definitely proves the point that at this point John Cena and Brock Lesnar are still learning the ropes in a sense.
Yeah, and so Brock does end up coming back, making the comeback. Cena goes for his chain, but Lesnar hits the F5 for the win.
Mhm. Although with a slight delay on the cover as well. I don't know whether it's Lesnar slowly getting faint because of the blood or whatnot. I don't know, but it's just a slight delay when he's trying to cover. Oh, I fumbled. Let me do it again. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
Because to be honest, the first half of the match was good. As like I said, Cena took the brunt of the punishment by Brock Lesnar. WWE, are you actually trying to tell me that I should be cheering for John Cena when he's the heel? He got his ass kicked for the first half of the match. That's not heel tendencies. That is actually a sympathetic babyface build. Oh, so weird. But I digress. I say the first half of the match was good, but it starts to me. I think it starts to fall off at the end. It starts to just unravel a little bit at the edges at the end. Give me a rating. I think I give it a 2.5. Maybe if I'm generous, I give it a 3, but I'd stick to 2.5 because it's
honestly, I'm giving this a half star. I am giving this a half star.
Okay.
I hated this match. I absolutely hated this match. It had its moments. I did like the brawling outside the ring. That's how it got its half star. But other than that, I thought this match was so freaking boring. It was so boring. It's by far the worst match on the card, in my opinion.
I'd understand that because the fact that I think the fact that the fact that was so evident is that these guys are just entering the main event just about, and Brock Lesnar obviously because he's one of a kind wrestler that you really want to push. The guy just oozes the it factor at that time. A young Brock Lesnar with that size, of course you can do everything in your power to push him. And then John Cena, of course, gaining traction on his heel gimmick. Like I said earlier on, very odd for the decision to give him a world title shot in such an early time because it's his second pay-per-view singles match again. But yeah, I can understand that because the guys are green, don't really know what to do on a main event. So. But yeah, I'll understand that because probably I'm being generous by giving it a par for the course, a half, 2.5 out of 5. So yeah, maybe I'm being generous because of that.
I mean, I understand if you like the match, but for me, I don't know. For me, it was just a bit too boring for my taste.
I won't say that I liked the match. I'm not going to say that it's I'm not gonna. I'm not saying that it's bad either. I'm not saying that it's disliked, a strong dislike either, because there are some, like you said, there are some moments. It's just that it's just decent. I think it's paint by the numbers. I think, in my opinion, anyways. Because
Right.
because of I think another thing that another point that avoids me from saying that it's a good match. It's not really something that I can nitpick a lot about. It's the fact that the whole thing feels odd. The build up to it feels odd because it confuses me. It confuses me that you're building John Cena as a heel, but the roadway to him gaining the title shot was sort of a face. And if you realize that the crowd started chanting "Let's go Cena" halfway, getting mixed reactions early in his career.
Yeah, but it is worth knowing that this pay per view is in Massachusetts.
Yeah, okay, because he's a West Newbury guy. Yeah, he's a West Newbury mass guy. Yeah, even though he's in West Newbury, but he's still a Massachusetts guy. Yeah, but again, getting getting mixed reactions so early in the career amuses me to no end.
Yeah, even back then.
Even back then, when he's starting out, he's getting polarizing reactions. Let's go Cena. At least there's no Cena sucks. It's just that the response was just quiet and muted a little bit. Let's go Cena. Oh, it's just small. Probably because of the fact that there's he's winning them over even though he's a heel. But I digress.
Yeah, so next match, Kevin Nash, Booker T, and Shawn Michaels versus Triple H, Chris Jericho, and Ric Flair.
This is a 6-man tag. Yep.
So
Basically,
Kevin Nash.
yeah.
And so
Basically,
Kevin Nash
basically the whole story was Jericho, Triple H, Flair attack Shawn. Kevin Nash made his return, kicks Flair in Jericho's ass, and gets to stare down with Triple H. Boris Bischoff announced the match. Initially, Nash and Triple H hugged in the ring, and then, but Triple H said he would have to choose between Kevin Nash and Shawn Michaels. Nash doesn't want to decide, and then later on in a match between Booker T and Triple H, where Shawn Michaels was the special referee, Triple H and Shawn Michaels came to blows, and when Nash tried to break it up, Triple H hit him with a little blow. So yeah, you got the 6-man tag. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting storyline.
It is. It is. How am I going to start this? Yeah. If you think that Brock Lesnar and John Cena's match was weird, this was weirder. If you remember correctly, if you have your history lesson, if you learned the history lesson on the whole thing leading up to Backlash, Chris Jericho and Triple H isn't supposed to align themselves together. Just wrong.
Yeah,
Because remember, these two guys. Yeah, it's bizarre because these two guys had bad blood with each other. Triple H took Jericho's undisputed title, and vice versa. Jericho actually kayfabe tore Triple H's quadricep, and next in line they had a Hell in a Cell match together. And also, this is the crux of the formation of Evolution by Triple H at this point. So feels kind of weird for him to be teaming up with Jericho. He should have been teaming up with either Orton or Batista at least, because it makes sense, because stablemates, of course.
Well, Orton and Batista were out with injuries at this point.
Yeah, Orton, Batista, and out with injuries, but they are. I think if my notes are correct, they are actually good for a return. It's just that I feel that WWE doesn't want to risk it. So if that's the case, then yeah, that's a logical way of why they're not inserting Orton, Batista. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But again, but I think the major point is that, in my notes, anyways, is that I said that Triple H and Jericho, the only thing that they have in common is that they're heels, and both of them
Pretty
hate
much.
Shawn Michaels,
Pretty much.
who is supposed to not be the focus of the match at all. It was supposed to be Kevin Nash. Oh, and if you think the faces are safe from my criticism, my nitpicking, oh no. Booker T and Shawn Michaels aren't supposed to team up either, because let's not forget who actually kicked Booker T out from NWO.
Shawn Michaels. And to their credit, they do acknowledge that. I think,
Yeah.
like on Raw, they do acknowledge that.
Yeah, and again, yeah. In fairness, this really it hasn't really indicated that the two of them get along. I don't know. I mean, going through the notes, going through the exchanges of the match, where you got Triple H and Nash still look to start, but then pass it over to Jericho, and then Michaels and Jericho got in. Michaels quickly countered and holding that. There's a lot of swaps, but the one major nitpick, I think it was a funny bit that I wrote down, is that Coach. Let's not forget Jonathan Coachman and Jerry the King Lawler were in commentary, and Coach and Lawler was saying Kevin Nash able toss off Y2J. Kevin Nash, and the response was Kevin Nash won't be able to toss. Yes, he able to toss off the game. To some of you who don't understand the colloquial meaning of toss off, maybe he does. Some of you may know it pretty well. To me, I think personally, I think it's funny because toss off. Kevin Nash is able to toss off Y2J. Wow, double meaning, double entendres all at the same time. But anyway. At least it's not bad as Vince McMahon tossing Big Show salad.
Oh God!
We all know where that comes from.
Yeah, Unforgiven 2006 is going to be a interesting show to talk about in the future.
Vince McMahon tossing Big Show salad, which to give them credit, it's actually quite an entertaining match.
It is. I love that Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, I love it. It's so brutal. It's so vicious and so visceral and all that. I just missed it. I just missed the whole carnage of it all. But yeah. But in any case, going off on all that, it ended by Nash, Triple H hitting Nash with a sledgehammer, wins the match as the ref came around, because Flair and the ref took a bump earlier on. Kevin Nash hit the jackknife on Jericho, but then gets distracted and bam, gets the hit on the head with a sledgehammer. Match was okay. To me, I think it should not have been in a pay-per-view main event. It should have been in a Raw main event.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. I like the match for the most part. I would say it's a good match. I did enjoy this match.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if I wanted to nitpick more, I think the loss was odd, because
Kevin Nash losing his first match back is very weird.
Yeah, because criticism aside, because I'd say that he looks slow, he looks sluggish, he looks very limited in the ring. Despite attempts to put him over by numerous people in the ring itself. Triple H tried to put him over. Flair tried to put him over. Chris Jericho tried to put him over. Failed. Not miserably, just failed. So it's just weird, because especially when Kevin Nash is the one taking the loss, because let's not forget, this is the guy you're trying to build for the title match next month.
Yeah.
And oh boy, but it was okay. I don't think I have any criticisms aside. There are some enjoyable. There are some moments that I enjoyed. There are some moments that I liked. To me, I think this should not have been in a pay per view event or pay per view main event, pseudo main event, or leading up to the main event on pay per view card. Should have been on Raw. Much would have made more sense there because the face is lost and probably reverse momentum. You can get Nash to have the win to uh, build him up leading to the next pay per view, which was what was the next one after Backlash? Uh,
Judgment Day.
yeah.
The
Oh,
famous
the
Judgment Day.
yeah. Okay, the infamous Judgment Day. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. That completely flew over my head. That's where you get. That's where you get the whole debacle that was Kevin Nash versus Triple H. Okay, okay, okay. Understandable. Right. Okay. My personal rating. I wow. Okay. I didn't remember I gave this grade. I'd give it a 3. Surprisingly, might have been a little bit generous on this one.
I
Might
would
have.
probably give it either a 3.5 or a 4 because I did enjoy this match.
Okay. Okay. I mean, okay. That means I may not be generally wrong on the grading on that one. Then okay, a 3. Interesting. I remember correctly. Great. But in any case, apples, apples, oranges, oranges. Never mind. You have a Rey Mysterio recap. Let me remind you, Rey Mysterio's the heel. They're recapping the event of Mysterio getting injured and Cole and Taz giving the update. Mysterio's vitals are good. We're not sure the extent of his injury. Cole, Taz, this Rey Mysterio is your heel. Why you want to update a heel's vitals and health? I know you are people conscious, and that through it all, Rey Mysterio Jr. is still a human being and an employee of WWE. But all bookings considered, why you want to update a heel's health status? Oh God, Rey Mysterio is the small heel, probably the smallest. No, 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 not probably the smallest. Alexa Bliss may be smaller, but I digress. Well, it is what it is. It happened.
Yeah.
Hello, press. I am here to report that the serial killer was injured. We are taking him to the hospital now, but his condition is stable. Please don't fret. That's the that's the that's the that's the preface that I can see if you're promoting that. You're just promoting the bad guy. You just promoted the bad guy. I did. I should have been. I'm just being socially conscious. Okay. Even though he's a serial killer. Or in this case, a big man a small man bullying a large man. So, okay, fine. Fine. Of course. That also leads up to our last backstage segment, which is an interview of The Rock by Terry Runnels. Pretty standard Rock affair, I think. He did cut a pretty promo saying he's done it all except make a white baby. Which, goodness gracious, that actually passed in 2003. But anyway, that happened. He did it all except make a white baby. So find a white woman to fuck and make a baby. So go out there and find a white woman to just fucking make a baby. Tell them that. But I'm scared. I'm gonna get slapped by The Rock at that time. But anyway, he also mocked Goldberg's roar, which cracked up Terry and Terry Runnels, of course. And he finishes up by calling Goldberg, and I quote, "a whisker biscuit bald headed bitch." Classic The Rock diss promo, of course. you'd expect
Yeah.
this happen. So yeah, which perfectly sums up leading up to the Rock versus Goldberg. Backstory being that The Rock held the Rock Appreciation Night after beating Steve Austin at WrestleMania, of course. So again, this is the part where he claimed that he'd done it all, but yeah. And then WWE introduced their newest acquisition, Bill Goldberg, in this segment. So who's next? He's next. So yeah, a lot of that's the basic gist of it. You're introducing the newest acquisition, WWE, Bill Goldberg, by fighting him against the most electrifying man on the planet, and in the face of WWE, The Rock.
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup because Goldberg was advertised for this event like even before he debuted. Like they showed a vignette earlier in the night, about an hour or so before he debuted, that promoted him for Backlash, and so he was always going to be on this show. And now he's fighting The Rock, which is an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it is interesting. And here's the part where I'm gonna heavily nitpick on this one. Unlike The Rock's last match against Hulk Hogan at No Way Out, where you know how it is, the crowd there at No Way Out was bipartisan, split 50-50 down the middle, half of them chanting The Rock, half of them chanting Hulk Hogan. Let me remind you once again, and this is a little bit of a practical joke that I am doing as a running gag now. The Rock is your heel.
Yeah, he is.
And the crowd is actually pretty much behind The Rock.
Yeah, I do think we do get a Goldberg sucks chant.
Yep. Although I think in fairness and in hindsight of The Rock, he is pretty hilarious when he did this douchebag heel kind of thing. He was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and the same thing even happened at Bad Blood. We got a Y2J chant, a Goldberg sucks chant.
Yep. But it's clear that I think it's clear. I think it's crystal clear that he was trying to cover up for Goldberg's limitation. Of course.
Yeah.
It felt like it did felt like the Rock's match with Hogan, where Rock is actually carrying Hulk Hogan for that along. But I can understand the fact that the reasoning why the Rock has to do with that with Hogan, because Hogan. The reasoning why Hogan is limited because he's 50 years old at that point.
Yeah.
Goldberg has no excuse. Goldberg at that point at that time of year is 37 years old. Doesn't really have an excuse. There's a lot of stalling. There's a lot of stalling because earlier on there's a lot of posturing. There's a lot of stalling by way of The Rock because he's scared of Goldberg. So I think he took about 5 or 10 minutes just to get into the ring after Goldberg is standing inside there. It's just,
yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, it takes a while to get him in the ring. Of course, typical brute force showing of the Goldberg before Rock comes back in with a slap on Goldberg, which actually made him a loud slap, too, pound and slap, and then just Goldberg smiles and just hits a punch in the knees. So that's the limitation of it all. There's a lot of stalling, and then they immediately skip to the big moves because at a point where they're grappled along and they lock up, and the Rock was shotting Goldberg and then tries to get it back in the ring and hits a clothesline. He's laying in the punches, but then surprise, or not surprisingly at all, Goldberg hits the Rock with a rock bottom, surprisingly, and then sets up a spear, surprisingly. So yeah.
I was not expecting Goldberg to hit a freaking rock bottom.
I didn't too, but it was surprising. It was surprising to me, or some would say unsurprising to be honest. It's Goldberg. Goldberg can do whatever he wants, but the setting up of the spear and all that was a little bit stalling again, but I can understand that why, because The Rock was covering up for Goldberg. He took a while to climb up, but to put in on mild terms, the first spear made Goldberg spear the ring post. And then when after that, Rock just placed Goldberg down on the mat and applied his sharpshooter again. trying to drag on the match just to stall for more time, just putting a rest on that one. So, and here's where I said that it immediately skips from the whole bells and whistles of the start, the beginning, the build up, the finish, the climax, the finish. No, you're gonna do a start, build up, bam, climax with the second spear onto the Rock, which the commentators were saying that it knocked the Rock clean off his boots. So there's that. They actually heavily said that the power was gone because Goldberg relied on his injured shoulder to set up for that spear, but no, it doesn't. It doesn't really. It's really effective. The Rock tries to fight back, but yeah, he's hitting the. He hits the second. He hits the second spear, and then when Goldberg starts to get into the match, yeah, Rock leads to rock bottom. Goldberg kicks out at 2. Rock hits a spine buster, and then hits a people elbow, but Goldberg kicks out. This is when the start. This is when the whole. This is when the whole crowd turning against Goldberg. Just a small bit, but noticeable because they're chanting audibly bullshit when Goldberg kicks out at people's elbow. Bullshit, and then Goldberg spears Rock on the second time to a Goldberg stock, which you pointed out, and then hits the third one and the jackhammer for the win. So it went from start, build up, end. I think there's not even a hint of a climb. Just end with a whole spear, with a whole second spear, and then third spear, and then jackhammer for the win. Of course, it's Goldberg's stick, but from start to end, it took up about about a long time for him to leave because we discussed this on the pre-show. The 37-year-old Goldberg usually is used to squash matches that lead up to 2 to 5 minutes, fighting small fries or just fighting regular wrestlers because that's what he's used to. And I believe that he's at this point he wasn't used to the fact that he's going to fight The Rock on a 10 or 15-minute match and really work. So there's that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I thought it was a solid match for what it was. I don't know if Rock was quite as invested in this match, but I thought it was a decent enough match. I don't know if it quite lived up to the hype because this match was hyped up a lot. Like, this was the selling point of the show. Like, pretty much every commercial hyped up this match in particular. So it was really riding on this match, and I don't think it quite lived up to the hype, but it was a decent enough match. It was a decent enough main event for what it was.
Mm-hmm. I believe that Rock was invested in the match because he had to. He's working with a man who just walked into WWE, with a little bit of ring rust into him because he's just moved from I don't even think he's moved from WCW to WWE directly. I think Goldberg took a little bit of a break, get that rust again, and then somehow came back to WWE. But like I said, The Rock was very entertaining. Doing his schmarmy douchebaggery heel stick that he is, but probably the whole comedic attitude that he had during the build-up probably didn't help put over Goldberg as much as WWE wanted it to be because they thought that they're gonna have another Hogan versus Rock in the sense that you have another WWE's icon versus WCW's icon in a sense. Because in hindsight, I believe pairing Goldberg with The Rock was a slight misstep, just not a terrible mistake, just a slight misstep. Because The Rock is really going to drown Goldberg based on charisma alone.
Yeah, because he's a weird matchup.
Because he's the one who's doing the promo, he's the one who's cutting the promos, and he's greatly overshadowing Goldberg in that area. And
Yeah.
I believe that at that time, WWE fans aren't prepared to chant for Goldberg yet over their own homegrown talent, and that's a shame because uh, I believe Goldberg's introduction could have been handled better than this. That's not going to stop him from being limited in the ring, used to 2 to 5 minute squash matches, but could have been uh, the better way in my eyes, anyways, could have been to build him up more with the crowd before putting him in a big match like with Rock and something like that. But it happened, and at least we got an entertaining schmarmy heel Rock with the whole I done it all, I done it all except make a white baby. He cut off his usual trash talking persona, whiskered biscuit bald headed bitch. And of course, to some of you who actually caught the after tapes, Rock still hyped. Rock still hypes up Goldberg even after the match. Pokes fun of the crowd. Pokes fun of the one member of the crowd audience who flipped him off, and he had to comment on that. Look at this fatso! Look at this fatso flipping the Rock off. And I think he pulled an offhand comment about how he gets laid quite often when the Fat Man doesn't get laid in 5 or 10 years. Yeah, I think so, like that. If I remember correctly, I didn't put it on the notes, but it's there. It's out there. You can watch the after match segment of The Rock clambering up, still hyping Goldberg and how the spear hurt The Rock, almost broke The Rock in half. Something like that. If you want me to give a grade, it was a solid 3, probably 3.5. Or if I was being too generous, I'd give it a 4 because this was very entertaining in my eyes. So, but mostly just because watching The Rock's actions and reactions and whatnot, and inflections against Goldberg. So there's that.
Yeah, I would give it a 3 as well. It wasn't the best match in the world, but I thought it was it was a decent enough match for what it was. It did its job, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it is. It did its job. This is the kosher version of Shawn Michaels overselling Hulk Hogan in a sense.
Yeah, in a way.
In a way, and it works for this one. It doesn't really work for the Hogan Michaels thing, but still entertaining as heck.
Yeah, and there are a couple of interesting notes for this match. This is the first and only time where Goldberg wears his WCW attire.
Yeah, the black trunks, the regular black trunks, because after this matchup, he starts to wear the ones that looked like trunks, longer trunks with short shorts with white trim behind it, and with the I think with the tattoo, the logo of his tattoo at the back.
Yeah, which honestly I think fits him a bit better. It does make him a bit more unique.
Mm-hmm. Innocent. But yeah, of course, some people will argue that this was the startup of how WWE mishandled Goldberg in a way. But I don't know. To me, I think it's either Goldberg had entered WWE a little bit too late in the process. Although again, I won't flag them for that because they actually tried to build Goldberg as a very major player when Goldberg entered Triple H's sights to get the World Heavyweight title several months later. But they could have built Goldberg a lot better during his startup in WWE, and facing up against The Rock isn't a wrong thing. It's just that the way that they actually tried to do it. So.
Right. And speaking of The Rock, this is also his last match for a while because he ends up this is really more or less the end of The Rock as an active superstar here. Like he does make a couple of appearances on Raw every now and then. He does have one more match at WrestleMania 20, But other than that, this is pretty much the end of The Rock as a full-time active superstar. He's off to Hollywood after this.
Oh yes, he's just he's just off to create more movies for Hollywood and won't come back almost a decade later, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't come back to 2011.
Yep, and it's yeah, almost a
He's off
decade. I mean,
to
it's
make
about 8
Doom.
years. Yeah, about 8 years. I think he came back to help Eugene. I think it was it.
Yeah.
That was it. He came back to help Eugene. Yeah, yeah.
And he
Hey,
calls Coach a popcorn fart.
yep. At least at least at that time, he still hasn't made a white baby. So there's that, which is surprising. But and again, surprising, even more surprising. When he had a family, the baby was his daughter was white. I have to pull that back. No, yes, I'm going to pull that back. That just sounds. No. I'm sorry. I should be more professional. Good. No more of that. All right. Okay. That was Backlash 2003.
Yeah, so my final thoughts on Backlash 2003. It was a solid show. I mean, compared to the show before this, WrestleMania 19, which is one of the best WrestleManias of all time. This was a solid show for what it was. It wasn't a great show by any means, but I don't know. I enjoyed the show for what it was. Not every match was great. There was really only one bad match on the card. Everything else was either just okay or good. So I don't know. This was a solid match. This was a solid show. I enjoyed Backlash 2003. Your final thoughts on the show, NDS?
Uh, to me, I think it's passable, very passable. In my eyes, anyways, WWE continues to at this point, anyways, WWE is trying to keep up and bring in and build up limited WCW stars who look limited. They're trying to build them up. They had made an effort to build up the WCW stars who look limited, and it's kind of hard to say that they are being squandered, but when they, in hindsight, they didn't really show the potential to be anything more than they achieved. Other than that, a good comment that I put on is the feel of the show was a little bit everywhere, because you have solid matches to end the show. You have solid matches to end the show, and then you have average to below average matches. And in your eyes, anyways, there is one very low wrestling match that is on the card, which spoils it all. But I think the general feel is that it's everywhere. You have Raw and SmackDown main events that are mostly average. Some of them are below average, and then you have the lower card not showing good stuff and not overly impressive. And then you have the useless diva backstage events, which in my eyes, anyways, it's redundant, not needed, slightless. But the tag matches were my favorite part of the show. I feel that both of it are entertaining. For both Dudley Boys versus Kane and Rob Van Dam, and Los Guerreros versus the Team Angle. So yeah. Goldberg's WWE debut wasn't one to remember. It's decent, but not really something you'd expect out of a debut. The 6-man tag was odd. The WWE title was odd as well, a little bit. It's less weird. Not an awful show, but just middling. Just average, I think. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, it was a decent show.
If you give me a grade, I'll say this one's an average one, a 2.5, a 2.5, 2.5 out of 5.
I would probably give it maybe 3.5 stars.
Because even if I was totally entertained by the Goldberg versus Rock, this actually made me want to watch the whole that main event again, just because of the whole shenanigans that was involved. Hey, but I can agree with that. Not an awful show, just average. It's just paint by the numbers. But yeah, At least it's not at least it's not the next pay per view, which was Judgment Day 2000. It really pissed a lot of people, some of the people off. One of them I know very well. You and I know very well, very close to
Yeah.
our hearts. Yeah, but hey, that is what it is, and it is 2003 Backlash.
Yeah. And lest we forget that big bully Rey Mysterio being taken down a peg by the Big Show.
Since when is Ray? Is Ray standing on platform shoes that are very thick, like several inches high to make him taller? The big man, Rey Mysterio. If WWE somehow rehashes the whole thing by making Alexa Bliss bully someone like Braun Strowman or somehow Baron Corbin, that's actually going to be pretty entertaining. Alexa Bliss bullying Baron Corbin, not Braun Strowman. I like Braun Strowman. I love Braun Strowman.
Yeah, same.
Corbin will be fine. Bully Corbin. Oh well. Anything else on the cards after Backlash?
No, I think we just about covered it all. So I think that just about does it for Backlash 2003. Where can they find you at, MDS?
Ooh. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Doctor Senju. That's MRDR Senju. They can also find me on the official Shootin da Breeze Twitter. That is Shootin SHOOTIN DABREZ1 on Twitter as well. I just updated the whole series of Shootin da Breeze podcasts that you can catch on SoundCloud, on iTunes, and on Apple Podcasts as well. I just updated to the current week, which was last Saturday. And please catch it. I'm sorry that it took me a while to really get my backlog on that one. But yeah, I took a vacation, 2-week vacation, and I forgot about everything now current. But yeah, you can also catch me on Cage Side Seats whenever. That would be on a check your local listing, because I'm coming up to a busy. I hope that I can get out from the busy month that I am having. So I think I am heading there now. So yeah, you can also catch my host on Shootin da Breeze podcast, Taker's Minion, who came in last week. You can catch him on Twitter as well, Taker's Minion at Taker's Minion. So that's it.
Yeah, you can catch me on Twitter at MetalMat15. I'm also on Cage Side Seats, hanging out in the daily and nightly threads, as well as the SmackDown threads and NXT threads. And in the nightly, I'm also doing a SummerSlam Summerfest series where I take a look at every single SummerSlam ever. Tonight is going to be SummerSlam 2002. Last night was SummerSlam 2001, a surprisingly good show. SummerSlam 2002. As some of you already know from the past episode I did with Biff Kensington, great show. So should be really cool to watch that again. So I think that just about does it. We also can't forget our plugs.
Your show, Matt. You should do this.
Well, they're Shootin da Breeze every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And there's Two Guys Who Want Sport every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. And also Violent Wrestling Podcast, very spontaneous podcast. You never know when it's going to.
Yeah, I think it's still check your local listing. I do believe that good friend Francis Lopez hasn't really settled down on the issues that they're having at hand, but still, yeah, check your local listings on that.
Yeah, it's a very, very spontaneous show. I believe I was on it about a week or so ago. We did have some technical difficulties, but it was a pretty entertaining show all around. So, very spontaneous show. As India said, check your local listings. You never know when it's going to drop. Also, Fizzy's Wacky World of Wrestling. Fizzy is putting out a bunch of content, bunch of solo shows that he's doing. So definitely check those out as well.
During his during my vacation, he actually posted a couple of active. He actually posted a couple of active active posts at the same time, active podcasts at almost a regular interval. So that's surprising for me. But hey, he's doing it.
Yeah. And also match fixing with Sal Kuzmano on God, what was it? Cedar Bridge Media or something like that.
You are correct. He is on Cedar Bridge
Yes.
Media.
Yeah, so I think that just about does it for the plugs. I don't,
Have you
trying
plugged
to
in
think of
You
it.
Guys One Sport yet?
Yeah, the Two Guys One Sport every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. What else is there? I think I got them all.
Okay. It's your show, man.
Yeah. All right.
If
I was just thinking
you
of
feel that you're finished, if you feel that you finished with the promoting, feel confident with that, end it. I know I have a too long list that I run off from the top of the computer screen.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of what all the shows there are that
One,
I
two,
need to
three,
plug.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have to do 18 plugs on an almost
Oh
weekly
man.
basis just to promote our friends. Which I am not complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
that is my job now. I'm just promoting people after I'm done. But yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, podcast isn't for everybody. This is one of the shortcomings of podcast. You have to do tons of podcasts. But in any case,
Yeah, so I think that just about does it for this special episode of the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast. Want to thank Mr. Doctor Senju for being on the show. It was a bit of a long time coming, but I'm glad he was able to be here, and I'm glad that we were able to have him.
I am I am glad to be I am glad to be of service. I'm glad to be here. Finally, finally, I get to come on. Finally, I get to come on.
Yep, and it is raining here right now. Apparently, the weather is not happy with me for in this podcast.
Oh shit! What time is it over there?
It's about 11:20 a.m. here.
Ah, okay. So you still got time to catch up on early lunch or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe after the rain passes by. In any case, that if there's nothing, I think we can bid the listeners adieu. Leave the
Yeah.
pod. Yep.
So thanks for being on, MDS. Really appreciate it.
Welcome. Thanks for having me on a very long notice.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm glad that I've gotten you.
Yeah. I'm glad to be on it. In any case.
So that just about does it for this special episode of Ruthless Aggression Era podcast on Backlash 2003. This Friday, brand new episode of Ruthless Aggression Era podcast. Me, AA Ambrose Alley from Violent Wrestling Podcast will be joining me as we will be talking about Vengeance 2003, the first ever SmackDown exclusive pay per view. So that should be interesting. I think
that is interesting.
Yeah.
That should be yes. Yeah. That is interesting.
Yeah, from what I remember, it's a pretty good show. So hopefully it'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh,
so
it's going to be
So I think that just about does it for this episode of Ruthless Aggression Era podcast. Thanks to MDS once again for being on.
It's the second time, but it's okay. I think it's the third too, but in any case, let's wrap it up.
I'm very appreciative.
I'm flattered that I am getting the appreciation from you. In any case, let's get out of here.
So yeah, that is all for this episode of the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast. New episode this Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. Vengeance 2003 with Ambrose Alley. So that is all for this episode of the Ruthless Aggression Era podcast, and we will see you all next time. See ya.
Ciao.